Okay, we're just gonna make a start at this time. I realize I'm a little bit ahead of the normal schedule. I'll still be around in our online meeting space, but I'll make this recording ahead of the time because there's multiple things happening, just to make sure that we do have also a version of this session for those people who are unable to join us in a live format. So this week is our last week of covering new learning material together. So this week we will be focusing on special senses, which represents really the last part of our review of the nervous system. And as always, I do have a little bit of a plan for this session. In total transparency, I don't think we'll dig into too much of a detail about the chapter content, but I do want to talk briefly about things that are very relevant for wrapping up the semester together. We will also talk about what's coming up next week, because next week is going to be a little different week from our normal weeks. Next week, I'm asking to make sure that you're aware that all of the coursework must be submitted. And this also includes your last exam, exam 3, and your practical 3. All of that must be submitted by Wednesday, which I believe is December 11th. After Wednesday, first thing on Thursday morning, I will be finalizing your grades. So it's really, really, really important that you get those exams taken. And I know it's a little bit of a deviation from our normal pattern where you have due dates at the end of the week. But because the college requires me to make sure that I get your grades submitted early enough, I really, really do need all of you to submit also the exam and practical 3 by Wednesday of the next week. So what I really wanted to do here was to recognize that it's been a busy semester. You've done a lot of things. Online courses are often very intense, and a lot of the time students end up feeling that there's a lot of material that they're covering, and is there that kind of immediate interaction? For some students, that's also the appealing part of the online courses, that you're able to operate and you're able to work based on your own timeline. I worked really hard on this class to create opportunities for a sense of community. We've had our discussion forums, we've had these weekly meetings, and we've had a lot of written assignments where you also get to share a little bit of your own feedback or experiences as it relates to the material. And all that effort, I do want to say that it's been so rewarding to see you doing an amazing work in this class. The effort you put in to those assignments, the interaction, the engagement, and the consistently high standard of the work has been really a joy to observe. And I think that it speaks volumes about many of the transferable skills that you'll be taking from this class. And those transferable skills like time management, independent planning, working on projects, those are all things that the employers are definitely looking for. So a huge thank you for your great work, and a huge well done for all your successes. So, like I said, this week is the last week of covering new lecture material, and next week will be our final exams, and then you're done with the course. You're almost at the finish line, so please do not give up. Let's get you those great final grades that you so deserve. One thing that I'm going to ask as a personal favor, but also as a thing that we as a college want to do, is for you to submit course evaluation for this class. And these course evaluations are used for two purposes. First of all, to develop these classes further. You've seen that I'm always doing changes on this course. We've been trying out some things that are new. We've been solidifying some things I've tested before that students have really enjoyed, like virtual labs and so on. And in addition to that, these evaluations really play an important role when the college looks at the employment status of each of their faculty members. So I would ask, if you have had a good experience in this class, please consider submitting that evaluation. That evaluation is completed online, and I will not see who completed it, what you answered. I will only receive, and that's going to be when I receive it sometime next semester, an aggregated data of the results. But really, that data is so important and so valuable for us. You will have received to your at maricopa.edu email address an email that has a heading that says something along the lines of teacher evaluation for Bio 201. It might be first or second reminder at this point. And when you go to that email and you open it, that will then take you or provide you a link that will take you to a survey. The survey itself is not super long. You have an option to provide written feedback, but there's also very quick rating questions. So please consider doing that. In order to promote my students to take that evaluation, I do offer extra credit for students who complete that survey. And what you need to do to get that extra credit is just take a screenshot of the final page of that survey and then upload that screenshot to our assignments area. I think there's an area called end of semester survey. If you upload that screenshot there, I'll be sure to make certain that you'll get extra credit for completion of that. Again, I won't know what you answered. I won't know who answered what, but I want to make it worthwhile for you to do that. So you do have that option of getting those points. So please, please, please consider doing this survey for us. I would greatly appreciate it. On this week's assignments, which are due at the end of the week on Sunday, which I believe is December 8th, I'm asking you to complete 2 pieces of assignment. We have first the quiz on chapter 16, so special senses, and we'll also be doing one of our virtual simulation labs. So you'll get to experience what it would be like to complete an eye dissection activity. I believe it's a cow eye. And you'll learn in the process different parts of the eye. You'll learn about their anatomy, their physiology, and so on. Both of these assignments carry points towards your final grade, so it's definitely worth of doing those. I also wanted to kind of give heads up that next week, since next week is a little different week from normal week, that next week we will have our exam tree and practical tree, and both of those are due on Wednesday, which is December 11th. I know that normally you have until end of the week, but that's not the case during finals week. All of the work has to be submitted by Wednesday, December 11th. On Thursday, I'll finalize your grades, and you'll also receive a message from me confirming your grade. I would ask you to keep on lookout for that message, because if there's any unclarities or any issues with your grade, the response time for responding to that message and figuring those out with me is rather short. At this point, I would also encourage you to log in to your Canvas course and look at your grade book and make sure that all of the assignments look correct. I do still have some assignments that I'm in the process of grading, and if you have missed assignments, they should have a 0 point for them. Unless you've asked me to reopen those, then those will remain open. And remember that if you have assignments that don't have a grade, those do not correctly then, those cause then your final grade estimation to not be correctly reflected. So only once missed assignments have 0 grade, the final grade correctly reflects where your final grade would land. So keep an eye on that. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help. I am open and willing to reopen any assignments you might have missed or work with you for extensions or reattempting assignments. But all of that has to happen by the end of this week. So by Sunday, which I believe is the 8th, on Monday morning, I'll lock everything else except exam tree and practical tree. So please, please, please make sure that you get that good grade that you need and want. And one of the things that many of my students say that the biggest part of success in online classes is collecting those points throughout the semester. So I am happy to be flexible and give you other opportunities to still collect those points. But please, please, please try to make sure that you reach out to me, you communicate with me, and all work except exam tree and practical tree has to be submitted by Sunday of this week. An exam tree and practical tree have to be submitted by Wednesday of the next week. So on this week's chapter, we are looking at special senses. I think that we've spoken a fair bit about touch already when you've had a look of the integumentary system, so the skin. But in addition to that, we obviously have our vision, taste, smell, hearing, and sense of balance. On my lecture material that I have on Canvas, I focus heavily on vision because it is one of the most important senses that we rely on. And I'll let you dig in on more detail with things like taste, smell, and hearing and balance based on the other learning material, including your textbook, which provides excellent resources for that. So that's the material that I'm asking you to work on this week. Special senses represent to us really in terms of the nervous system, those special sensory receptors that allow us to collect information, allow us to understand what's going on both internally and externally in the body. So really quickly, because I know next week comes fast, students often are like, oh, it happened quicker than I anticipated. Rather than waiting till next week, I am going to, at this point, summarize what to expect from exam tree and practical tree. I will still provide a live online session probably at the very beginning of the next week. I'm looking at Monday, but I want to provide the same information already now early on. Exam tree will cover the chapters of our nervous system chapters. So chapters 12, 14, 13, and 15. There's going to be 25 questions. Some of those are very straightforward, multiple choice, true, false, ordering, matching, drop-down menu questions. You will have 60 minutes to complete those. And those questions add up to 100 points towards your final exam or final grade. This exam, you have a freedom to complete it whenever you wish. It is an open book, non-proctored test, so you can use your resources again. And it is a single setting test. So once you start it, you have to finish it. My strong recommendation would be not to leave taking exam tree until Wednesday night, just right before the due date, which is 1 minute before midnight. If you have any internet issues, if you have any computer issues, if you have any technical issues, I am happy to help, but I don't anticipate that we will have enough time to help you if it's late at Wednesday when you message to me. So try to take the exam a little earlier rather than later. That gives you a little bit of buffer time if you have any issues. Of course, I'm here to help, but make sure that you give yourself time to get that help if those issues happen. Don't leave it to the last minute. I've given 2 sample questions of the exam there on the screen. We're seeing that first question is a true-false question. The statement says a nerve cell is known as a neuron, and that is true. We do know that neurons were the proper name for nerve cells. The second question is similarly true-false one, and it says that axons carry signals towards the body of the nerve cell. That is incorrect. Remember, axons carried signals away from the body of the nerve cell. So that would be a false state. In terms of practical 3, we're covering the same content. So our nervous system chapters 12, 14, 13, and 15. There's going to be 15 questions that are mainly visual questions, mainly multiple choice. And you have 30 minutes to answer to those. These will represent 50 points towards your final grade. Again, it's a non-proctored open book test, and you do have one attempt once you start the test to take it. Again, I wouldn't leave taking the practical 3 till last moment. I would make sure that I work on it ahead of the schedule so that you have chance, if there's any issues, to reach out to me and we can figure it out together and we can get to the bottom of it. Like I said at the very beginning of this session together, please complete the end of semester survey. The end of semester survey, you will see that you received a link to it to your @maricopa.edu email address. Once you've completed that survey through that link, grab a screenshot of that completion page and upload that to the end of semester feedback area. That way I'll make sure to give you points for completion of this activity. That is really all that I had planned for this session together. I will be reaching out to each and every one of you with your final grade and details of that. That's going to happen once I've received all of the work from all of the students, including exam 3 and practical 3. So I'm anticipating or eyeing on probably Thursday to send that message. Keep an eye on that message, because on that I provide your final grade. I provide mechanism to discuss if you have concerns about your final grade, but the time limit for those discussions is rather short due to the pressures of getting those final grades submitted to our registry. So please do make sure that you follow your email. When you receive that email, you check it. And if there's any concerns, you reach out to me rather sooner than later. At this time, it is a good time to start checking your grade book, make sure that everything's correct. And remember, as always, I am here for your success. I'm not here to catch you out. So if you do need any assignments reopened, you still want to attempt those, all you have to do is reach out to me. I will work with you on a case-by-case basis, but all of that should take place prior end of this week. On that note, it has been definitely my pleasure to work with you this semester, and I look forward to still interacting with you on our learning spaces, virtual learning spaces, discussion forums, all that good stuff. But until I see you there, I appreciate you having been there, and I hope that you had a very good and relaxing Thanksgiving and are finishing off this semester feeling good and getting where you want your grade to be. Until next time I see you, thank you and bye.